What lies beneath the sands of time? From mysterious artifacts to puzzling structures, ancient archaeological discoveries continue to baffle scientists and, of course, ignite our imaginations. In today's video, we'll explore the most perplexing finds that still defy explanation, including one of the most famous of all, the secrets hidden within King Tut's tomb. Here are 10 ancient archaeological discoveries that scientists can't explain. Number 10, King Tut's tomb. King Tut's tomb, discovered in 1922 by the legendary Howard Carter, is easily one of the most famous archaeological finds in history. We've got to kick our list off with him. Even though it was smaller than other royal tombs at the time, sure, it was a little small, it was surprisingly untouched by grave robbers, which is pretty rare in ancient Egypt considering how much time had passed. Inside, Carter uncovered more than 5,000 treasures, including the iconic golden mask. Now, what makes this tomb so mysterious is how well preserved it was when they found it. Considering Tut's short reign and his young age, this was honestly baffling. His sudden passing and the rapid burial have sparked endless theories, leaving many aspects of his life and legacy shrouded in mystery. Number 9, the Karnak stones. The Karnak stones, an impressively large collection of megalithic stones covering the area of Karnak in France, have boggled the minds of researchers for years. They are sometimes referred to as France's Stonehenge, not a bad title, although they are very different. The Karnak stones consist of 3,000 stones, all cut from the same rock and put in place somewhere around 500 BC. What confused researchers was the fact that, even though these stones show alignments, dolmens, and other examples of ancient geography consistent with other sites, they really shouldn't have existed in the time period in which they were constructed. It makes no sense, also sounds exhausting. Scientists have been trying to decode the arrangement of the stones for years, trying to figure out what it means, but Drumcastle, still, they have no clue. Number 8, Drumcastle Ancient Chambers. Alright, let's do this. Back in 2013, while a conservation team was working on Scotland's oldest castle, Drumcastle, they found a previously undiscovered part of the castle, a hidden chamber left untouched for hundreds of years. Dr. Jonathan Clark from FAS Heritage, part of the archaeological team, recalled window openings on the first floor level, but once inside the castle, wherever those rooms were, they were hidden behind bookshelves. They couldn't find them. So, they unblocked the windows, took a peek in, and found a hidden medieval chamber. And, surprisingly, it was in great condition. They hid this thing well. It even had a little toilet in there too. How cozy is that? To quote Dr. Clark himself, this adds greatly to our knowledge of how the interior of the Tower of Drum was used in the medieval period, and in due course, it should contribute to a greater knowledge of how 14th century towers were used in their heyday. Hidden chambers and a hidden toilet, is this haunted? What do we think? Comment down below. Number 7, the first zoo. Long before the pyramids were even built, Egyptians were getting pretty creative, if you want to call it that. They were the first to create a petting zoo. How brave is that? Also, yeah, let's just start touching animals and see what happens, why not? 6,000 years ago, Hierakonpolis was the capital of Upper Egypt during the pre-dynastic period. It was beautiful, sitting alongside the Nile River, clean, untouched, a paradise in those days. Perhaps the best way to flaunt your wealth back then was by getting an exotic pet. Excavations done in the late 19th century by English archaeologists James Quibble and Frederick Green revealed that this town was thriving with over 10,000 residents. But when further studies were performed, they also found the remains of an elephant surrounded by cosmetics, ivory bracelets, and amethyst beads, really a lovely burial. Cats and dogs were also found, common pets. But then, there were crocodiles, brave owners there, hippos, leopards, and wild ox all in the same area. They were all carefully buried, but the broken bones suggest a bit of a cruel history there. Number 6, the Sphinx's hidden chambers. The Great Sphinx of Giza, with its lion's body and human head, is kind of hard to miss. It's one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Egypt. However, its purpose, origins, and secrets are still hotly debated. Ancient texts and local legends speak of hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx's massive paws, possibly, hopefully, containing treasure, sacred texts, or even lost knowledge from a forgotten civilization. Now, despite modern exploration using advanced technology like ground-penetrating radar, these chambers still remain a mystery. No one knows what's inside. Some researchers believe the Sphinx predates the pyramids by thousands of years, pointing to an earlier, even more advanced civilization that might have left behind clues about humanity's distant past. So, it's kind of important if we open this one up. Was the Sphinx a guardian, a spiritual symbol, or was it a marker for something far more significant? Number 5. The Fiddler's Theater. Theater excavations in Rome revealed the remains of a theater Neron, a private theater used by none other than Emperor Nero himself, previously known only through texts. Now, this discovery provides a physical context to these historical accounts of Nero's reign. I thought Nero was a brat when he made a palace for his horse, but his own private theater? Imagine doing an entire show for one person, how awkward is that? Although, I am doing that right now with producer Chris. It's not that awkward, it's kind of fun. It's nice. Number 4. The Israel Tomb. Looking back to the Dark Ages in Shamir Heights, northern Israel, this tomb is massive. It's made up of 400 tons of boulders and stretches 65 feet wide. This burial chamber goes back 4,000 years. Now, it could mean that humans were part of an organized society that long ago, especially considering the art that they found on the ceiling inside. Set Dolman, but this is the first time that art has been documented in one of these chambers in the Middle East. That's why it's so important. And we haven't quite figured out what the ceiling carvings depict yet. So far, we think arrows are anchors, but inside the actual grave, there were 3 sets of human remains, so it had been used for quite a while. While excavating the ancient gravesite, archaeologists also found colored beads. Yeah, we got beads and bones, come on in, welcome to my tomb. One of the most intriguing parts of this grave has to be the lines carved in the ceilings, all the lines connecting to one single arc. What does that mean? I'm good at video games, I want to figure this out. Number 3, the Tomb of I. Unearthed by the legendary Howard Carter classic, He's Just Digging Up Everyone, back in 1907, the Tomb of I, the pharaoh who took the throne after King Tut, rests in the Valley of the Kings. Now, the real intrigue surrounding I's tomb comes from his rapid rise to power, which is still tied to the controversial circumstances of King Tut's passing. Was he involved in his passing at such a young age, or was he simply a pawn in this larger royal drama? That's what we hope to figure out every time we dig one of these guys up. Now, the tomb itself is filled with stunning artifacts, hinting at his considerable influence. Yet, the mystery deepens when you look at his short reign and the near silence in historical records about his burial and royal connections. Why is his legacy so vague? Was he truly a legitimate ruler, or was his rise to power more complicated than we know? These unanswered questions keep I's tomb and his role in history covered in mystery. Number 2, the oldest inscription mentioning Odin. In Denmark, a remarkable archaeological find was made with the discovery of a golden disc from the 5th century. It was part of the Vindel hoard. Now, this disc contains the oldest known inscription of the name of the Norse god Odin, you know, Thor's dad, Anthony Hopkins, that guy. Previously, the earliest evidence of Odin worship was dated 150 years later, making this discovery significant for understanding the pre-Christian spiritual landscape in Scandinavia. Number 1, Göbekli Tepe. This monument is not only mysterious because we don't know much about its origins or anything at all, but it also caused quite the headache for researchers because it completely rewrote the timeline of the Neolithic era. Yeah, whoops, we missed a big one, actually. The Neolithic era was the final period of the Stone Age, where early humans began the process of domestication of animals and agriculture. Right, it's when we kind of upped our game. For years, researchers believed that this era was what brought people toward the process of holding rituals and creating monuments to their beliefs. However, upon discovering Göbekli Tepe, that idea was completely erased. Now, this mysterious site suggests that it was actually the work of early hunter-gatherers that made this temple a ritualistic center. So, this would have happened far before these individuals decided to create settlements and begin the agricultural revolution. Based on that timeline of human settlements and such, this makes no sense. Why did they do this? Why did they make this? Based on evidence found at this site, which, mind you, is 6,000 some odd years older than Stonehenge, groups of hunter-gatherers came to the site in what is now southeastern Turkey around 11,500 years ago. They carved out a ritualistic site from limestone that covered the entire area. It's believed that Göbekli Tepe was designed as a stopping point for these early humans, a place to meet, hold feasts, and then, of course, depart. Soon enough, the desire to regularly hold these gatherings prompted early humans to domesticate plants and animals to have a more dependable food source. So, with that in mind, it's believed that these rituals are what gave way to the agricultural revolution and not the other way around. Yeah, they were the OGs. Imagine inventing agriculture.